Morning, hockey fans. How's everyone doing? We just had 3 games yesterday. Just went 1 for 3 yesterday. Toronto gave up a 3-1 lead and ended up losing to Florida. Dallas edged past the Rangers, and the Philadelphia Flyers quite easily handled Detroit. So far for February 11 and 8. Today we've got 13 games. Lots of hockey on tonight. Tuesday, great night for hockey. We've got 2 first-place teams for our first match here. We've got Vancouver playing Boston. Boston being 7-2-1, current 3-game winning streak. Rask probably in net for Boston. They're first in the Atlantic. Vancouver also has a 7-2-1 record with an overtime decision. Markstrom probable in net for them. They're first in the Pacific. The last game for Vancouver was a loss to Carolina in a shootout, 4-3. And the last game for Boston was a win over Minnesota, 6-1. This will be the first time these teams have played each other. Boston being such a good, strong home team, I'm going to pick Boston to beat Vancouver for my first pick. Second, we've got Colorado against Buffalo. Buffalo being 5-5-1 with a current 1-game winning streak. Hutton probable in net for Buffalo. Their last game was a win against Columbus in overtime, 2-1. Colorado currently 5-3-2 with a current 1-game losing streak. Grubauer probable in net for Colorado. They're third in the Central, and their last game was a loss against Philly, 6-3. Colorado's on a 5-game road trip. Interesting to see how they're going to bounce back after that loss to Philly. These teams have also not played each other, so it'll be the first time that they go up against one another. I'd like to think McKinnon and Colorado are going to get it back on track here. So I'm going to go for my second pick. I'm going to take Colorado to beat Buffalo. Vegas Golden Knights against Tampa. Tampa currently 7-2-1 with a 3-game winning streak. Vasilevsky probable in net for Tampa. They're second in the Atlantic, and their last game was a win over San Jose, which was 3-0. Against Vegas, who are 4-5-1 with a current 2-game winning streak. Fleury probably in net for Vegas. They're third in the Pacific, and their last game was a win against Nashville, 3-0. Stamkos for Tampa is playing really well. Tampa is kind of quietly putting their year together. Again, these teams have not played each other, so it'll be the first time that they go up against each other. I'm going to take Tampa at home to beat Vegas. Third pick, Tampa to beat Vegas. On to Game 4, Montreal Canadiens against the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey being 3-4-3 with an overtime decision. Their last game was a loss to Dallas, 3-2 in overtime. To Montreal, who are 6-4-0 with a current 1-game losing streak. Price is probable in net for Montreal. Their last game was a loss to Columbus, which was 4-3. Devils lead the series 2-0. with 2 wins, a 4-3 and a 6-4, both being back in November. I think the New Jersey Devils have had 2 overtime decisions in their last 2 games. Montreal's probably favored. I'm going to take the New Jersey Devils to upset the Montreal Canadiens. On to Game 5, Dallas against the New York Islanders. New York Islanders being 4-3-3 with an overtime decision. Varlamov is probable in net for the Islanders. Their last game was a loss to Vancouver, 4-3 in overtime. Against Dallas, who are 6-4-0 with a current 2-game winning streak. Khudobin probable in net for Dallas. They're second in the Central, and their last game was a win over the Rangers, 5-3. Dallas leads the series 1-0 with a win of 3-1 back in December. I'm going to take the Islanders to beat Dallas for pick 5. On to Game 6. Los Angeles against Washington. Washington being 6-4-0 with a current 1-game losing streak. Holtby is probable in net for Washington. Their last game was that loss to Pittsburgh, which was a great game. It was an early game, and it was back and forth. Pittsburgh ended up winning 4-3. They're going against Los Angeles, who are 2-7-1 with a current 1-game losing streak. Quick is probable in net for Los Angeles. Their last game was a loss to Anaheim, 3-1. Washington leads the series 1-0 with a 3-1 win over Los Angeles in December. You got to think Washington's going to have no problem here, but I'm going to take Washington to beat Los Angeles for pick 6. On to Game 7, we've got Florida against Columbus. Two great teams. Columbus 8-1-1 with a current one-game winning streak. Merzlikins is probable in net for Columbus. They're third in the Metropolitan. Last game, 4-3 win over Montreal. Against Florida, who are 8-2-0 with a current one-game winning streak. Monteblanc is probable in net for Florida. They're third in the Atlantic. Their last game was a comeback win over Toronto, where they won after being down 3-1. Columbus has an extra day of rest. Columbus seems to be communicating well on the bench and really playing nice hockey. The series is tied at 1-1. Florida won 4-1 in December, and Columbus won 4-1 in December. I'm going to take Columbus at home to beat Florida. On to Game 8, Anaheim against Ottawa. Two teams that aren't doing that well. They're definitely struggling. Ottawa being 2-3-5 with an overtime decision. Hogberg in net probable for Ottawa. Their last game was a loss to Toronto 2-1 in overtime. Against Anaheim, 4-6-0 in their last 10 with a current one-game winning streak. Gibson is probable in net for Anaheim. Their last game was a win 3-1 over Los Angeles. These teams also have not played each other. It will be the first time this season that they play each other. I'm going to take Anaheim to beat Ottawa. So road team to win there. On to Game 9. Carolina against my St. Louis Blues. St. Louis being 5-4-1 in their last 10, current two-game losing streak. They're first in the Central. Their last game was that loss to Winnipeg, where Winnipeg finally got back on track of 5-2. Against Carolina, who is 6-3-1 with a current one-game winning streak, Mrazek is probable in net for Carolina. Their last game was a 4-3 win over Vancouver in a shootout. Blues are 7-3-0 in their last 10 games against Carolina. These teams also have not played each other. Quite a few teams who have never played each other yet this season, which is kind of interesting. It'll make for some good hockey, and who knows what's going to happen. But I'm going to take St. Louis for Game 9 to beat Carolina. On to Game 10, Chicago Blackhawks against Minnesota. Minnesota being 4-5-1 with a current one-game losing streak. Stalock is probable in net for Minnesota. Their last game was a loss to Boston, where they lost 6-1. Chicago 7-3-0, really fighting for that wild card position. Current one-game winning streak. Crawford is probable in net for Chicago. Their last game was a win over Arizona. I watched that game. It was really nice, 3-2 in a shootout. Chicago leads the series 1-0 with a win 5-3 back in December. I'm going to take Chicago here. I'm going to take Chicago to beat Minnesota. On to Game 11. Nashville against Winnipeg. Winnipeg being 3-7-0 with a current one-game winning streak when they beat the Stanley Cup champion, St. Louis, 5-2. To Nashville, who are 5-5-0 with a current one-game losing streak. Rene is probable in net for Nashville. Hellebuck probable in net for Winnipeg. Nashville's last game was a loss to Vegas of 3-0. I want to see if the Jets are going to be able to stay on track now with a win under their belt. I think Nashville, although a good team, I don't think is as good a team as St. Louis. These teams are within a point of each other in the race. The series is tied at 1-1. The Jets won 2-1 in November, and then the Preds won 1-0 in January. I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take Winnipeg to beat Nashville. On to Game 12, the only game with a confirmed goalie. We got San Jose against Calgary. Calgary being 6-3-1 in their last 10 with a current one-game losing streak when they lost that Battle of Alberta to Edmonton, which was a gong show crazy game where Edmonton won 8-3. Riddick is probable in net for Calgary. Against San Jose, 3-6-1 in their last 10 and a current two-game losing streak. Dell has been confirmed to be in net for San Jose. Their last game was a loss to Tampa, 3-0. Season series led by the Sharks with a 3-1 win in October, early in the season. I'm going to go with the home team here, Calgary, to beat San Jose. I think Calgary, hopefully they've healed from all the fighting they had in their Battle of Alberta match. But again, Calgary to beat San Jose. On to Game 13. Edmonton against Arizona. Two good teams. Arizona being 2-5-3 with an overtime decision. Ranta is probably in net for Arizona. They're 3 points back. Their last game was a loss to Chicago, 3-2 in a shootout. Going against Edmonton, who is 7-1-2 with a current 2-game winning streak. Koskinen is probably in net for Edmonton, and they're second in the Pacific. Their last game was a win over Calgary at 8-3. Oilers lead the series 2-1. Arizona won 3-2 in November. Oilers won 4-3 in November, and the Oilers won 7-3 in January. I'm going to take both Alberta teams. One's a home team, one's a road team. But I'm going to take Edmonton to beat Arizona. So if we just review those picks quick, I'm going to go Boston to beat Vancouver, Colorado to beat Buffalo, Tampa to beat Vegas, New Jersey Devils to beat Montreal, the New York Islanders to beat Dallas, Washington to beat Los Angeles, Columbus to edge over Florida, Anaheim to beat Ottawa, St. Louis to beat Carolina, Chicago to beat Minnesota, Winnipeg to beat Nashville, Calgary to beat San Jose, and in the last match, Edmonton to beat Arizona. Hope everyone's week is going well. Good luck with your picks. Obviously, Tuesday night, lots of hockey on, which is great. I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks for watching.